It's a duty, it's a right, it's an obligation to stand for her and fight because she's our nation. Read your history, read your Constitution, see where we came from and how far we've gone in this amazing country that we live in.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cheryl Crisp from Movie Guide, and this is Coffee and Conversation with John Schneider. John, you've had quite an adventurous and exciting life. TV star in Dukes of Hazzard and Smallville for many years. One of your new releases is a patriotic country anthem called She's Worth It. I love it. Talk about the messages.
Well, the message there, it occurred to me doing a lot of my social media stuff. There's a lot of young folks that do social media, and I started to get a little pushback oddly enough, about 3 years ago. I started to get pushback when I would say, obviously we live in the greatest country the world has ever known. I started to get people saying, well, no, we don't, because we're this and we're that, and we've done this and we've done that. And I was like, time out. Who is teaching you folks, number one, that we are that? Who is not teaching you about all of the wonderful things, the evolution of the United States, and how we have managed to attack every problem that we've come up with or that's come to us. So it occurred to me that people were being kind of reverse educated with regard to our country. So I wrote that song with a buddy of mine to make sure people know that the one you just quoted, it's a duty, it's a right, it's an obligation to stand for her and fight because she's our nation. I wanted to, I'm older now, so I wanted to slap some people on the hands and say, cut that out. Cut that out. Read your history, read your Constitution, read your Bill of Rights, read your Declaration of Independence. See what amazing documents these are. See where we came from and how far we've gone and how amazing our founding fathers were, who were in their 20s, right? 20s and 30s, with regard to designing this amazing country that we live in. And it's so amazing that 15 or 16 million people have come into it in the last 3 years. Not because it's a terrible place, but because it's a wonderful place. So I wanted to do that. I also wanted in this album to thank our Gold Star families for their sacrifice. We've gotten into a wonderful habit, I think, of thanking servicemen and women and first responders, police officers for their service. But what about their sacrifice? What about the sacrifice of a family who lost their mom or their dad or their brother or their son or their daughter? I feel we need to shine a light on those folks and tell them that, we understand that their sacrifice is why we have our freedoms in the first place. And I think we owe it to them to thank them at every available opportunity. So that's what that song is about. So, I'm very excited about this album or series of collection of songs, whatever. But I want to make sure people understand that it's not just patriotic. It is very patriotic. There are two poems on there. You Ask Me Why I Love Her is one, and The Hyphen is the other. But it's also, even the title song, Made in America, it's not about produce that's made in America. It actually says, the chorus of Made in America is freedom was made in America circa 1776. I'm going to get a little political here. Then some White House clowns in the DC town made it a circus ever since. It all went to hell in a heavenless handbasket. Teaching kids praying is a bad habit, which has happened. But I'm saying one anyway. I pray it ain't too late to fix the mistakes made in America. So that's my call to action. So, most people that have heard the songs, and a lot of people have heard it now, it's on Spotify and iTunes and all those places. I would say about 98% of the people just love it. And the other 2% just need to grow up.
John, you
Yes.
hosted a screening of your patriotic film you wrote, directed, and starred in. It stands up for patriotism and the American flag. What was on your heart when creating To Die For?
Well, I had when I wrote To Die For, I was in Arizona. Oddly enough, I'm in Arizona right now, and I had heard a story about someone, a man in town. I don't remember which town it was, but he had the habit of driving around with the American flag on a pole on the back of his pickup truck. Um, and they tried to get a restraining order against him so he couldn't drive near the local high school. And that's all I heard. But I thought, that's a movie. That is a movie. So I started writing this movie about a guy who has an American flag on the back of his El Camino. And every morning on the way to breakfast with his police officer friends, he drives through the turnaround at the high school, the local high school, where he went to school 50, 60 years ago. And there's a flagpole in that turnaround, but there's no flag on it. So he drives through, and blaring through the speakers in the back of his El Camino is the Star Spangled Banner. Well, he gets in trouble, and actually does get a restraining order filed against him, so he can't do that anymore. That storyline is juxtaposed with the quarterback from the high school, who is being applauded by the left because he took a knee at Friday night's game. So I thought it was important to juxtapose the lunacy of those two notions, where all of a sudden the good guy is the bad guy and the bad guy is the good guy. So I wrote and directed this movie, and it's been out for 2 years now. It's not brand new, but for some reason, all of a sudden, people are starting to notice it. So I'm very, very proud of it. It's called To Die For. I believe you can still get the DVD at johnschneiderstudios.com, or you can go to todieformovie.com, and I believe you'll be able to stream it there, I think. But I know you can buy the DVD at johnschneiderstudios.com, and you can see the trailer on YouTube anytime you want, and also the video for She's Worth It. You can see the video there as well.
John, you are so passionate about patriotism. What would you say to those who don't appreciate America or all the blessings she offers us?
Well, I can't help but be passionate about this country. Uh, I am free every day to speak. I'm free every day to move about. I'm free to gather with friends and discuss whatever I want. And I did nothing to earn those rights or earn those freedoms. Other people who I probably will never meet have done that. So what I say to people who don't appreciate it, first, get an education. Read a little bit about this great country. Read something that was written before 2000 about this country. Do your research. And then if you still don't appreciate this country, I'm going to be bold about it. Leave. We don't need people here, just like you don't need someone, and you don't need a house guest that doesn't like your mashed potatoes, right? If your house guest doesn't appreciate your mashed potatoes, get out. So if you're in this country and you don't like it, then why on earth would you stay here? Go away. There's a lot of celebrities right now talking about, they do that all the time. I think they just like to hear themselves talk. But I, for one, would like to hear the sound of them leaving this country in November, should they not get their way. I raised children. I know what spoiled brats can be. I love my children, but I know what they call them the terrible twos for a reason. I think we have a measurable demographic of people much older than 2 years old that are somehow stuck in their terrible twos, and many of them are famous. And we could do without them as well.
But you've also gone through some very difficult, challenging times in your life. What gets you through?
Well, I think it's important to know that you were designed for a specific reason. You're not an accident. You didn't just happen. I believe that God designed each and every one of us to do something very specific for him. And it's up to us to figure out what that is. So if you're just blindly going around and you don't recognize your design, then of course you're going to have trouble pushing through when times get tough. But for me, when times get tough, I dig in because I firmly believe that opposition, especially severe opposition, is an indication that you're on the right track. You know, I'm not a big sports person, but I do know if you have the ball and no one is on you, then you're probably not much of a threat, right? So when I get the ball, I welcome opposition, and I look at it as a sign that I'm doing something right. So if you're listening to this, you're watching this, and you don't have a pretty good idea about what you were designed to do, then pray about it. Also, this is a pretty good trick. Go back to your 7-year-old, your 6-year-old you, and remember what it is that you wanted to do more than anything in the world. Chances are, I think, that is what you were designed to do. And if you're not doing that, believe me, you don't want to be my age and wishing that you, I wish I'd done that. I wish I'd done more of this, more of that. It's never too late to follow your design. And I believe that your design is very specifically attached to that dream you had as a 7-year-old. I'm not saying go quit your job, but take motions, do things, take action to start doing that thing that made you just want to get up and run in the morning. When I get up in the morning, I'm running. I'm charging full steam ahead into the fray or into some great and glorious thing. But a lot of times lately, into the fray. But you know, that's a good sign for me.
John, in today's world, it's easy to get discouraged. What encouragement would you leave us with today?
Don't let life get you discouraged. Okay, let it fire you up, because like I said, if you have opposition, it means you're doing good. So if you have things that are trying to discourage you, look at it this way: they're trying to keep you from being effective. They're trying to keep you from doing that thing that you are supposed to do, that, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, that only you can do. We are very specifically designed to do something very specific. I use that word a lot, but you know, so don't be discouraged, be encouraged. It's a choice. It's like I tell people, when you wake up in the morning, expect great things. And great things will happen. Some bad things will happen, sure, they happen every day. But if you wake up in the morning and you expect bad things, guess what? That's what you're going to get. I'd rather have 10, well, let me do better math. I'd rather have 8 great things to 2 bad things every day than 2 great things to 8 bad things every day. And that's really up to you. And it's up to me. So hit the ground expecting great things. Say nice things to people. Tell somebody you like their dress or their hair or their shoes, or go up to somebody and say, man, that's a great looking truck. Do that. Spread good feelings, and they'll come back to you each and every day. It's impossible for that not to happen, by the way. That's not a theory. That is a fact.
Enjoy videos that follow your values like ours, and you want to help us continue, go to movieguide.org/donate, because we're actually a nonprofit. You may not know that, but we're working in Hollywood every day to help families have more choices that follows their values. And also subscribe right now.